All right, so where were we? Let's back up a little bit. We were at me and my ability to suppress negative, violent, angry emotions. I would argue that it was Christmas, and I was maybe 6, so this is like 1986. We had a situation where I wanted my dad to be there for Christmas. Okay. So we go find my dad, Cedar Central, wherever he was at. We come back, Christmas, 5:30 in the morning. We kids open up presents. I want to put my racetrack together, and then my mom's like, "Well, no, wait till you go back to sleep and get back up." My dad, let the boy open the racetrack. Well, that turned into my mother getting pushed out the front door, firing her CMHA police gun into the front door. Wow. Me hiding with my little brother and trying to call the police. Mm-hmm. Well, what happened is my mother was wrong in this situation. Mm-hmm. But when the police got there, my dad was the one that went to jail. And my dad was the one that went to jail because my dad got into it really bad with the female cop.
Okay.
So it was just a learn. It was just a real clear learn of, man, you went to jail because you couldn't control your anger. Because she's shooting in the house with kids there. Just opening fire. Bow, 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 bow.
Wow.
So I'm just looking at, feeling like my mother is wrong.
Right.
But the police arrested my dad.
Wow.
And my dad, I can remember him screaming, "Every time I deal with you, they lock my ass up." Mm-hmm. And it was like, So all this mystery of my father had a lot to do with the suppression of anger and violence and all that kind of stuff, because I was experiencing him on the inside.
Gotcha.
But I didn't understand it. I didn't know if I could control it. And I was what I would perceive then around a bunch of people who were out of control. Mm-hmm. So I created this obsession of being in control.
Gotcha.
And in control turned into suppression.
Wow.
Of anger, violence, frustration, which probably is what turned me into an athlete, physically aggressive in football and basketball and, swimming and all these exertions of physical energy on a day-to-day basis.
Wow.
And it was kind of like that was some kind of balance. So that was some kind of physical balance that was being created. At the same time, I'm already tapped into being an artist. Like I already want to be an artist at 6 years old.
Wow.
So now I have this emotional balance that's happening. And at the time, the technical executions that these institutions had me going through, it was settling everything that I needed settled. Eventually, that wasn't enough. But, from being too early to remember when I started drawing to being about 20 years old, it was satisfying.
So at what point, because I'm going to just slide back to New York just for a second, because I could see you experiencing that. I know you see this racism there, and I'm only saying that because I'm looking at the suppression that you had with all of these things going on with you. But at some point in time, didn't you just want to just explode with some of this stuff going on? I mean,
I was exploding all the time.
Yeah.
See, what happened is when I was experiencing racism and I was experiencing white people being in a creative setting, I have a body of work that got triggered by all these different incidents.
Okay.
Being in a classroom with all white kids and feeling like a little nigger puppy, feeling like, everybody likes to work, everybody's looking at the black person on the board, and all this different kind of stuff turned into me creating a slavery series of images.
Wow.
I wanted to control what they were talking about by putting something in front of them that they don't talk about. Ultimately something that I don't talk about. So I had started chaining people up, and that was what I was putting up on the board. You know what I mean?
You doing?
You know, that's what I'm putting in the student show. Yeah. Then I get a phone call, Donald, they took your work down. Wow. They said you can't show that. I'm thinking something wrong with me.
Are you serious?
Oh, yeah. I'm like, oh, okay. Man, okay, so now I'm not in the student show.
So you're in high school now?
No, this was college. College and racism, you know, I was being isolated in different kinds of ways. I was being censored out of shows.
So they actually in college now take your
actually down. Call me and say, Donald, they're taking it off the wall right now. Do you have anything else that you can bring up here and put up? And I'm like, no, thank you.
And how did you feel when they took it off the wall? You said what you had to say, or I mean?
No, at that point, I'm still thinking it's me.
Wow, taking it personal.
Yeah, it's like
it gotta be you.
Well, it's something. Well, not even taking it personal in the taking it personal connotation.
Gotcha.
But just the tell and the learn is that you are inferior. You are one of few. You are the special one, but you ain't really there yet. You still need to work on this, and you still doing this wrong. You still doing this wrong. So all I'm thinking is like, okay, just tell me everything I'm doing wrong so I can learn how to do it right. Literally. And what happens is my expression of right was making the interactions worse, is what was happening. So when it's like, well, you need to think about these things and think about these things and think about this. So when I'm thinking about that stuff, I push something else out that's freaking everybody the heck out.
Exactly.
Like I'm further isolating myself every time I'm taking the suggestion, like my perception of what's being said.
Right.
Complex concepts is something that I heard, you know, in the art education world. Oh, okay, what's a complex concept? Ooh, what about this idea of self-imprisonment? That's complex. How do I illustrate that? And then one day it revealed itself to me, an image that said self-imprisonment. Like, oh, wow, people gonna love this. It's like, oh, it's so scary, it's so dark, you're so angry, you're so mad, what's wrong? I submit that image to Nikon's competition. 300,000 people respond to that competition. I get third. I'm like, wait a minute, that's confusing. So you're telling me that Nikon, one of the world's leading cameras, that camera company, that competition thinks this is worth third place? But I got a college professor telling me I'm never going to make it anywhere in his classes, taking pictures of my roommate? Like, wait a minute, this is my roommate. This just made it somewhere. So it was kind of like, it was like all of the institutional lies were universally revealing themselves. I'm being told one thing, and then I'm quote unquote doing the wrong thing, and the universe is saying, check.
Yeah.
Ding.
Yeah.
Like, oh shit. Yeah. That mean I can't stop.
Now who would I listen to?
Exactly. Yeah. Am I gonna listen to the professors and the director of my department at OU?
Wow.
When they're taking the work off the wall? Or the day I go to the awards assembly, talking shit to all of the girls around me, like, I don't know why they want us here. They just want us here to be audience members, to clap for everybody. So I'm in the audience talking shit. And then I hear Donald Black Jr. I'm like, what did they just say? What did they call? I don't even know what they talking about. Because I'm talking about them. Yeah. I get up there, I get awarded a Kodak scholarship.
Really?
So I was awarded for Kodak. So I'm like, wait a minute. So Kodak, one of the world's leading camera companies,
I'm doing something right. Yeah.
Say that I'm getting this special award and my name get to go on this plaque that ain't never had no black people on it, and they gonna put this in the hallway of this place that I've never won a competition, never get an award, censored out of shows, the only black kid in my class. That's confusing. But I follow that irony. I follow the pun. So it's like, okay, I'm supposed to keep doing it. And I'm supposed to get conditioned to this rejection is what was happening. You know, I thought I was learning how to deal with disappointment. No, it was just revealing to me where this is all going, where it's all going, where it's all gonna be. You know, people don't know this, but my dream is to be the Picasso of my generation.
Gotcha.
And not the strongest visual artist. My dream is to be looked at as the strongest artist to be born around the time period of 1980. Literally. So I'm at Cleveland School of the Arts, and I'm around all these other artists, and this is the secret that I'm keeping. That I don't want to be the